Hello, Meoni here, and I'm back with another patch 4.5 video for Final Fantasy XIV, this time looking at the new Gpose changes and additions, something which I've been looking forward to since their first announcement. What better way to demonstrate all of these new features than to do a squadron mission dungeon, considering one of the new features itself is that you can now use Gpose directly on squadron members themselves, as well as your player character and party members. On the Gpose menu, which you should use middle mouse button by default to bring up inside Gpose, the first option you see immediately that's different from before is that instead of the usual toggle on or off of depth of field, which of course is still there, you also now have a field value slider and another toggle below that stating enable manual focus with another slider. So let's enable depth of field, which defaults to toggled on when you go into the feature, and as we move this slider you can see the amount of the effect weakens as you increase the value to the right on this slider. If we then toggle the manual focus on and put the depth of field all the way back to the left, you can see as I now move the manual focus slider, we are now able to control the distance around the focal point and distance that blur from depth of field goes backwards from the camera. Again, sliding the depth of field to the right to reduce the effect, and playing with the manual focus slider can be pretty tricky to get right, but does actually allow for better use of this feature as opposed to just making the whole screen blurry with a toggle like it did before this patch. The next change is on the top menu itself, which you will see next to the time of day switch. You can also now toggle battle effects. So let's get our party in battle with something. If we then use Gpose and then toggle this button off, you'll see that I no longer see the abilities from anything fighting on screen. If I toggle it back on, then suddenly we see those spell effects coming off of my samurai sword there. A great feature, and sometimes the perfect screenshot is hard to get when you're in combat, especially when there's a massive blur of light cascading across the screen from an ability. This allows for greater control in that aspect, which is ultimately very nice. For the next feature, we need to hop into the side button menu here, and the second button down, the Effect/Frame Settings tab, will show a new Wet Attire button. This can actually toggle your target to look like they are wet or not, based on what their outfit or skin would look like in water areas of the game, for example, or in the rain. You can switch between targets like the squadron here or your party members and toggle it on respectively for different targets, making for some possibly very entertaining screenshot situations. The fourth button down on the sidebar now has a new emote button. This literally opens up all of the emotes that you own and have learnt on your character. You can now apply loops of emotes from this menu without having to ever exit the Gpose feature itself, which is awesome. You can even apply these emotes to squadron mission members by clicking on them and pressing a new emote, and that includes party members as well, which is excellent, especially if you have the perfect scene but someone decided to sit down instead of stand up. You can just toggle to them with a click on their character and change their pose to what you like. Wedding shots will never be difficult again. A minor thing to mention as well is that your local time is even shown inside Gpose on the bottom right there of the group pose window itself, so you can realize how long you've been wasting suspended in animation trying to get the perfect picture. Another massive quality of life change is that now if you try to exit the Gpose itself, it will ask you a yes or no to leave, meaning you cannot accidentally press escape to ruin your shot any longer, or if your cat walks on your keyboard, you can be safe in the knowledge that said cat would also have to press yes on a box as well. Challenge accepted, some might say. And lastly, the other changes to Gpose include where it can be used. I cannot actually currently demo all of these, but if you get turned into a frog or an odorota, let's say, in Heaven on High, or any transformed state of your character, you'll now be able to use Gpose whilst in that form. But obviously emotes and that won't work. That'd be too much fun. Gpose now also works when you're dead or obviously KO'd, and also when in a role-playing situation, i.e. if you're transformed into Alphino, for example, in a certain main storyline scene. All in all, the new Gpose features only highlight what we already knew, and that's that the feature is unbelievably useful, and is even more so now. Thank you kindly for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all next time.